Welcome back, YouTubers, to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're just joined in, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness versus sharing my life stories with Aspergers Syndrome and the like, along with tips and advice along the way for general health and mental health state. Based on my life and experiences and my life journey with these pre-diagnosing conditions, I thought to be your girl, to be your advocate, support person, or whatever it may be that you're going through today and every day. Just a heads up, basically, at this point of time, I'm doing some more of the narcissist and sociopath series, as well as some other topics that will be broad, obviously, at this point of time. So just to be in mind that basically, I know I humbly apologize that, as I said, that many people might not want to hear some of this and they already know what to do or whatever it may be, but then there are some people that may be struggling and needs to hear it regardless what it may be, because these are my topics and I know they are touchy, but it needs to be addressed because some of this is real and it is existing and it needs to be clearly addressed. So I thought to be one of the ones with my hand up saying I'll do it based on my life experiences in general, especially for what I'm clearly addressing with you all right now. Obviously, some of those I'll give you as a trigger warning, especially for my sensitive viewers, obviously, that have been following me as well, be it, you know, the ones that are on the autistic community or whatever, you know, community you guys are. I know that some of it may feel gritty, I humbly apologise, but as a trigger warning, if you see any of these warning signs and symptoms that are clearly addressed to you all based on any mental health disorders or whatever it may be, do seek professional help for yourself or your loved one, or seek advice for yourself and your loved one, because I don't further condone self-harm. So this one's obviously, as I forgot to add in the narcissist series, is how to set healthy boundaries of a narcissist with no contact, the second part of it obviously. And what I want to clearly address basically in the meat of this video, you know, I want to be very, very clear to you as a trigger warning that some of this information I'm going to give to you is based on my life experiences and what I have done for myself to hopefully succeed and beat the narcissist. Pretty much, I use it as a form of a not to go, no contact card, you know, sort of thing. Meaning, I was trying my very darn hardest to have no means of contact with him, regardless where he may be it on phone, be it on the internet, or whatever means of communication we had in the past, sort of thing. And that also means for me, also for this, you know, excuse of no contact, was meaning to cutting ties with certain people that may link it back to him and actually tell him what was going on. Just to be fair and frank, regardless of it all, that, you know, I still have my ups and downs. Sometimes I feel that, you know, my trust has been broken from some people when I do, you know, go about my merry way about, you know, how I'm feeling and all that. And sometimes, you know, even if that particular someone that's in his group wants to feed off me and actually, you know, want answers, basically, and then for some reason finds means of opening those old wounds. But as I said, I know once upon a time I would have had any excuse to not go with no contact or cold turkey with the narcissist number one. I did that for several years now, like before, during, and after of my, you know, abusive relationship. Basically, it will lead all the way to my death of this known contact. I'll still do that to this day. As I said before, also, despite that, I'm now trying to learn to harden up and actually not give many people chances, even though many people have known me as a soft little cookie, you know, little soft cookie dough. They want to mold me into something and just, you know, eat their cake and eat it too, so to speak. But I feel that I need to, you know, try and learn the one strike out rule. But then, like, someone's arguing with me, or like, all that I'm with is, what about second chances, you know? There should be second chances, and then other people are putting on me, well, what about forgiving them, you know, as it says in the Bible about forgiving people, you know, and, you know, accepting them back in. I was like, well, you can forgive the person and not the sin that they committed to you or the crime that they committed, because at the end of the day, you need to move on, because obviously it will lead to, you know, dire consequences. But at the surface level, though, however, I thought basically at that time, blinded as I was, being young and naive, 17, my second or third boyfriend at the time, basically, as they say, after 3 dating attempts you should be in a stable relationship. Basically, I thought on the surface level, and to be frank, that the love I felt for him was eternal, and I didn't want to let go. Who doesn't, you know? Thinking I will never experience a love like that again. You know, I was young and naive and thinking that, you know, it was all rosy just before this was happening. However, the deeper real truth was of the matter was I believed without him I could never survive and be a source of love, approval, security and survival to myself and to the one that I believe that is in my life for a reason, for, you know, giving them that sort of love and stuff. You know, in some ways, yes, it was chipping down on me with having him around, obviously, for those 8 years, chipping away my self-esteem, my self-confidence and everything else, and it took a while for me to build up, obviously, as I shared. But I now know and believe strongly that this was nothing more than an unhealed wound that needed to be healed and is now healed. And as a result of my life bears no resemblance to those beliefs at all anymore. I believe now that I am more in control of my life, I'm in control of my destiny, I'm in more control of my thoughts, desires and everything else. I'm the only one that can do anything in my life. I'm the one that can self-love and cure myself of whatever it means it may be. Nor do I have any physical, mental, emotional or, you know, psychic connection to any previous narcissists in my life that I have come to know. Just to be a note while I'm speaking from this on the bottom of my heart, if you stay attached to a narcissist for the wrong reasons, life and the necessity of your evolution, it's going to bite you fair and square on your butt. You won't, however, get the peace, the healing, the control and safety that you need for yourself, because those parts of you that you want this person to turn around and change, act nicely, become your source of the things that you always dreamed of and more, aren't healing yet within yourself, will still be hurt and triggered time and time again. The massive lesson in this, though, however, I've learned, if we aren't taking full responsibility for our own actions, for growing these part of ourselves, you know, be spiritually, mentally, physically, and healing them back into the wholeness, the people we try to make responsible for them will not eventually heal themselves. They will only tear our insecurities up even more. You may want to use any of the previous excuses I've used. Basically, it is good for my healing because he was pushing everything inside of me. I need to heal. Yes, he was, but because I was focused all on him and not detaching to heal myself. So what? I wasn't addressing it at all. I was just getting more and more abused and broken. Please don't make the same mistake that I did, however, to try and just keep on holding on, praying and hoping that he will change. Until it was something that I realised that I was on the low and low, that my health was more important and I needed to detach and let go. Detaching and healing is always the goal here, no matter what the situation that you're in with this narcissist. What does it not being effective really mean? Let's investigate the goals of dealing with any narcissist who's still having an effect on us. Stop handling them narcissist supply and take back your power by healing the unconscious wounds within you that allows the narcissist to hook you in for the narcissistic supply. Because when you achieve this, the narcissist must and will take their behavior and drama elsewhere for easier feeding for the next victim or themselves. This is a deal. A false self cannot expend any energy on someone where there is no energetic attention providing payoff. Yet how do we do that when a narcissist goes for our greater trigger points with all the accuracy, intensity and impact of a heat-seeking missile scud? We may as well say, how on earth do you expect me, and I can't find it, you may think basically, how on earth do you expect me not to react even if it's hard? You don't promise you that there is a way to be the vicinity of narcissists, having them as family members, or be in business with them, or even co-parenting and not affected by and even able to assert your own rights. The greatest truth is this: you will not be in your power unless you are being emotionally triggered and regressing back into the emotional space of your unhealed wounds, which can then range from all the way of your beliefs and traumas acquired from your ancestors and were likely to be supplemented from the terminal events in your childhood. Things like people who love me hurts me, I am insignificant of others and discarded as being unloved by them, I'm not safe in life, authorities and people persecute me and punish me, I have to earn love and acceptance, nothing I ever do is good enough to be loved. If I am replaced by another, I can't survive. I can't protect and help the people I love. I have no rights. Everything that is valuable to me is taken away from me. And there are literally thousands of other possibilities and other unconscious thoughts, that, as well as, doubts and insecurities that will wound up. Whatever it is that's at the core of those wounds, of why you are affected by these narcissists, you can be 100% positive that the narcissist uses these against you whilst being in contact with you, or by engaging other people in ways to hurt you. This causes you to be mentally triggered, which will then obviously bring out your unhealed core stuff, because they are gaping and raw, painful wounds that are affected, and therefore will remain hooked and play right into the narcissist's hands by handing them the power. This is when we lecture and prescribe having conversations over and over again as if to a child in an adult's body who just doesn't get common decency. We try to make the narcissist be accountable. We try to get the other people to see what they are doing to us. We plead, beg, cry, yell, bang our heads against the wall and whatever else. And we are deeply disturbed and obsessing about what the narcissist is capable of doing to us and the people we love. When this happens, we provide the perfect self-medication for the narcissist, being the drama that can take the narcissist away from their own self-annihilating inner being. And we are also now the perfect scapegoat for them to be smeared to family and friends and everybody else around them. We've become the crazy one causing all the problems. Let's face it, it is crazy. Believe you me, living inside that head of theirs. And to add insult to this injury, or wound to this injury, you are handing over them a grade card narcissistic supply, the highly charged emotional reactions that confirm to the narcissist that they can affect another significantly and therefore must be significant. We have to get out of this deadly loop, however, if we are wanting to survive, heal, and then thrive, which of course is what all this community is all about. Generally, the formula for that is 1, go no contact, and then 2, start the healing. Every trauma that arises are negative emotions for you, until the original beliefs and traumas in the narcissist who represented them are detoxed out of your system and out of your life completely. You may be asking, how do we stop handing over narcissistic supply so that we can become a source of no energy to the narcissist, to the point where we don't care, don't react, don't get triggered, and don't provide any emotional, physical, or psychic energy, right? I really need to explain the following to you regarding the psychic energy, especially for those people who say, but I don't say anything to this person gets nothing from me, yet they are still traumatized and constantly obsessing about the narcissist. Please understand, even if you are in the no contact with the narcissist stage and they are actually affecting you profoundly, you are still handling over that psychic energy or some form of energy to them. Narcissists feel you, they are still getting a feed from you, as sure as a pipe has been inserted into your inner being. And the narcissist is at the other end sucking out all your love and life force. I know this may sound creepy and scary, or even other, far-fetched, but the proof is infuriable, and it's just, and the other truth is it can be unavoidable. Even if you pretend to be not affected and you're deeply energy is energy, however, the unseen world is pulling the strings in our life, and our belief systems are planning to produce the results of their literal programming, despite any act we try to pull off. Being triggered and trying to pretend we are not is still not going to create the results of the triggers with the narcissist, because the narcissist is the literal inner being mirror, bringing all of our greatness, fears, and insecurities in our life. When we all heal those undeveloped still wound parts, then the narcissist intakes will become as benign and irrelevant as grade 1 lessons we have in school. That's when it will all stop. Thank God. The grey rock method I've mentioned before, obviously, but I'll give you a quick lowdown. Many abuse recovery people will tell you to work on the grey rock method, granting the narcissist no energy or attention. I agree wholeheartedly with this method. However, I never recommend this alone, however, of this grey rock method. Even though it is a great starting position to adopt because it helps to get the real work done, every time we detach emotionally from a narcissist, we have more emotional energy to connect to our necessary journey of loving and healing ourselves back up again to wholeness. Again, just to cover up what it is all about of the grey rock and how it works. Grey rock gets back to the greatest aim when still dealing with the narcissist. Stop handing them narcissistic supply. Narcissistic supply is the very lifeblood that the narcissist is addicted to any hardcore drug addict. The narcissist as an internal no self requires the energy of others to exist. The best A-grade supply to the narcissist is the drama that we feed them. The knowing that has significant enough to affect us drastically. This will then allow the narcissist to numb out the self-annihilating inner being traumas that are always present emotionally, engulfing the narcissist if they are not receiving narcissist supply. So how does the narcissist hook you into handing over narcissist supply? This answer is simple. Pisses you off. Unbalance you. Make you focus on and hand attention to this narcissist. They'll play you. The narcissistic, if he or she believes you are still a source for them of that narcissistic supply, once that cracks have appeared and the mask has fallen, will do something, anything to make you react or feel angry, rejection, cruelty, injustice, or any other negative emotions that gets under your skin in regard to yourself or the people that you care about. It's all about to get a reaction. It's all about to get a narcissist feed. Like that comment goes, where it is a reaction needs a cause for action, or whatever of the law of physics. And as I said previously, even if the trauma is still going on inside you and you say and do nothing, the narcissist is still getting a feed. Grey rock is about taking yourself out of the firing line by becoming so bland, disinterested, boring, and non-engaged that the narcissist tires of trying to use you for their gain and narcissistic supply. It needs to hit someone else up for it. It means answering the narcissist in monotones, offering nothing emotional or beyond the absolute basic necessities, meaning after time the narcissist will eventually go elsewhere for their dose of self-medicating drama. Grey rock for real. In my experience, pretty much in my 8-9 years of, basically, or just when I've been helping people right now in the way of form of support, helping people worldwide recover from narcissist abuse for real, some people may have adopted this grey rock method that I have actually addressed and grant the narcissist no emotional energy, yet energetically they still have the trauma, resentment, judgment wedged inside their bodies, which means that the narcissist is still hot to them energetically and therefore still impacting their life. The worst thing is these people are still hurting and not thriving and growing. The quantum truth is, as Pema Chondran famously said, is nothing ever goes away until it teaches us what we need to know. Narcissists truly are like the Terminator in our life, hence Terminator, and how we flick off and on their switch of coming after us or living on an energetic terror campaign in our inner being, whether they're out of their life or not, or our life or not, sorry, is to heal ourselves from the triggers, the original wounds which allowed them to hook us, hurt us, and get to us. The following is a profound truth. When someone is no longer emotionally affecting us in our mind, spirit, soul, or any shape or form, that is when they cease to have any power over us. Yet then we do try to do this at head level rather than at inner being level. This is the result. We have to try and bury it. We have to go into the state of denial or dissociate from the trauma that is pushing our buttons for the narcissist and living on as an unhealed force with our beings. Disowned trauma inside us only does push-ups in the background, gathering strength, because it wants and needs to get our attention in order to activate our love and healing towards these parts of ourselves in order to come back to our true state of wholeness. No different to any signal of something that is out of balance and not being as it is intended to be unified and whole. Like a motor that makes noises because of an engine fault, or a roof that starts stripping water from the rain because it has sprung a leak, or an issue appearing somewhere in the body, seemingly cancer. When we suppress certain traumas, it is felt and experienced as depression, interlaced trauma, or even addictions, needing to burn off the anxiety of the disowned trauma, or anger bursting through to the surface as a projection of the trauma that unfortunately can damage the people we love, or handing over to our power at the most inopportune moments with the narcissist when a big enough trigger is hit that we can't detach from it. This is why the grey rock is best done, like all things, from an authentic space. In regard to trauma, dealing with it is not just the authentic way when it has been buried, numbed down, or self-avoided, however. Dealing with the trauma for real means of healing is to the level where it no longer exists. Meaning here is we internally work at being so healed from everything that the narcissist was triggering off within us that we're literally untriggered anymore. We are so afraid that we are instead focused on our own life creation from a position of empowerment, authenticity, and inspiration, even when challenged with the difficult stuff. Fear and reaction just aren't our go-tos anymore. Rather, detachment, ignoring rubbish, and calm, fearless, proactive action is instead. This means we no longer sell out, we no longer lock ourselves down, hide out, or walk on broken glass, terrified about what the narcissist may do to us. We no longer dumb down, fear the narcissist, or hand over the power to them. We just get on with it, our life knowing that life has our back, and that is when we experience that it does, and in no way supports narcissist thumping us anymore. In direct comparison, the narcissist pull and influence starts to crumble. People may think it's much easier just to do the grey rock and get the results, but why would we just do it and keep on hurting, feeling the living effects on what happened to us? What I am trying to help you understand here is this is no shortcut or no short-term fix to evolution. Our personal evolution is hard work, and that it takes time, commitment, and self-devotion. It's the most important missions in it to do in our life. And on the other side of things, of the previous trauma life starts going effortlessly in comparison to how it used to unfold, and we unlock all the results and breakthroughs we wanted yet we did not receive, while stuck on the trajectories that matched our woundedness. Whether it takes a few months or years to release and reprogram a trauma that matches the narcissist and is dishing out to us, it is really inconsequential in the bigger picture. Naturally, I'm personally thrilled I took the time out to do the most incredibly inner journey and work within myself, because my life prior to doing it was agony and really time consuming, like anything, in comparison to what it is now, even though before narcissist abuse ever happened to me. My entire purpose life was spent mired in fighting, keeping my head above water whilst drowning in the inner and outer effects of what I knew as my own life and trying to live it. Now it isn't just that. Also, the joy of seeing the positive changes with my family, friends, loved ones, and community is priceless. The work we do on ourselves isn't just about us. It has far-reaching positive consequences. We can then apply quantum understandings and healing in conjunction with the grey work. We can genuinely detach and be totally not interested without angst and pain, with the healthy boundaries. Acceptance and self-generated energy. Adopting acceptance is one of our most powerful antidotes in our life to stop being victims and handing power over to those narcissists. To me, acceptance with this: don't expect or want an intensely damaged false self to act like a normal person. And stop believing that what the narcissist does or doesn't choose to do can affect your life, and instead start becoming your own self-generated force for yourself and the people you love. Classic example is the people who are being traumatized by the narcissist's refusal to declare income and pay child support. Any reliance you have on the narcissist doing the right thing pretty much ensures it will never happen and will keep you hooked in the pain for longer. This isn't to say don't put your best foot forward and present your case if you have one, but you don't need a specific outcome to help you grant the inner solidness, full purpose, abundance, and life force. Quantum law operates in mysterious ways. It states, whatever you are being, you are presently creating a future or more of that. The beingness of peace, abundance, and power unconditionally, regardless of outcomes, means a lot of inner work is required to do so, but the results will speak for themselves. Numerous people in the community have narcissists capitulate or be beaten in court, and every single one of these people was not attached to or afraid of any of the outcome. They were simply showing up in truth and power, and in the end outcome is the only true objective. Victimized energy is this: the belief that we can't go on, get out of the funk, feel okay, or have a healthy life unless specific outside criteria may change. This isn't, however, the quantum power which must be generated within ourselves. Rather, it is the automatic handling over our power away to the narc. I am not a self-generator of my own experience from the inside out. It means we have just made our inner being the only center of influence we have, rely on outside conditions, which is an attempt to create life the outside in. That is like trying to put a cart in front of a horse and hoping to move from a stuck position, yet rather than move, it all rolls back to its back on itself, amplifying the stagnation and pain. If we think a narcissist should do this or that, we are going to expect them and be disappointed, angered, resentful, and biased situation. Quantum law, so within, so without, is absolute gravity. Gosh, please, I remember how hard this painful initially was to accept this kind of quantum law of physics. So why on earth should we continue, or would we continue to feel disappointed, resentful, angered, ignorant, and feel victimized by our syndrome when it is only setting up for more disappointment, heartache, regrets, and being victimized by? It may appear that the narcissist is continually doing it to us, but when we adopt the quantum responsibility and understand the power that we have emotionally and energy, which plays it with of life, and how the narcissist is an extreme mirror of what is going on inside us, because they can only operate from other people's energy and none of their own. We need to wake up and grow beyond this energetic blindness, however, to realize how to shift, change what is happening without it. So this basically quickly ends about the part 2 on how to set healthy boundaries on the narcissist with no contact. Part 2. Give me the like for thumbs up for support. Comment below. Feel free to share these videos around. Feel free to comment below. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Feel free to turn on the notification bell so you can get up to date with new content. Feel free to journey with me by subscribing to my channel if you haven't done so already as well, to get to know me as a person. Feel free to share these videos around, as I said, because these are really important. I can't say that enough, because these are the most important ones for me to share and address. So without further ado, guys, thanks for your support, thanks for watching. Do what love what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out, and I'll see you again soon. Ciao.